Good morning, I'm Chef Stacy with the Hotel Lakeside Dining Room, and this is What's Cooking with Chef Stacy. These are the best chilled soups for summer. We're gonna beat the heat today. I know people kind of have an opinion about chilled soups. They typically either love them or hate them. So if you're one of those that hate them, hold off. I might give you some reasons to rethink that position. We have some really fun ways of kind of changing up those soups a little bit. I'm gonna give you some tips on how to make your recipes probably even a little bit better. If you already have a gazpacho recipe or maybe a vichyssoise recipe that you really like, I'm gonna give you some ideas on how you can change that up and make it your own. So let's just talk about chilled soups in general. Really, the gist of a chilled soup is just what it says it is, but it has to start with good quality ingredients. You have to find the best tomatoes. It's gotta be tomato season in Ohio. You gotta find those great cucumbers, good peppers for gazpacho. The flavors are all in those simple ingredients. If you have a bad tasteless tomato, guess what? You got a bad tasteless gazpacho. Same thing with vichyssoise. You have to have wonderful ingredients. Vichyssoise is a chilled, typically onion or leek and potato recipe. It doesn't have to be simple and bland though. Many people kind of think of it as that European soup. It doesn't have a lot of flavor, but you can make it your own. You could go ahead and make that a loaded vichyssoise or a loaded chilled potato soup. You could add some fun things to it, like a little bit of green onion on the top. It's all about the garnish, a little bit of green onion, a little bit of bacon, and maybe even some of your favorite cheese. I have a Parmesan here. So if I were to make this, I would simply be using potatoes, some onions, a little bit of garlic clove, and then some kind of a stock. If I wanted to keep it vegetarian, I'd use a vegetable stock that I probably would make myself, or simply just a chicken stock that you could find at the store as well. These things all go into your blenders. So let's talk about blenders. There's many different kinds. Which is the right one for which soup? Well, that really depends on how smooth and silky you want that soup to be. For a vichyssoise, typically it's got a really fine, smooth palate, a texture on your palate. So you'd want something that's more high-powered, like a Vitamix, which is one of my absolute favorite things in the kitchen. You could definitely use a blender or a simple food processor or even an immersion blender that works well. Just know you're not going to get that real smooth texture. It's going to have a little bit of more structure to it. You're going to feel some of the onion blend, a little bit of that garlic and whatever else you may have in there. You're going to feel that on your palate. You might like that. Like a gazpacho, typically in Spain, where most people agree that it originated, they would use all these ingredients and they would just use either hand chop it or they would use some kind of an immersion blender. Everything would go right in and just stick it right down and in there, give a couple pulses and it was done. It definitely had texture to it. Also, one thing to keep in mind, if you don't like gazpacho, here in the States many times it's almost like eating salsa. You've probably had that kind of gazpacho before. It's kind of very chunky and literally it's like pico de gallo. They've added a little bit extra water to it and it's just got a funny kind of flavor, a kind of texture too. And over in Europe, they actually typically use stale bread, day-old bread, and then some wonderful olive oil. So again, it's about, those ingredients. The bread kind of gives it that creaminess, gives it a little bit more body. So it's not just like eating, like I said, a salsa. And if you puree that down or blend that down a little bit finer, you will get a smoother, creamier soup. The color will change. Here in the States, we see it as being like very colorful. Lots of times we can see the red and the green and the white, that holy trinity of cooking. We talk about those things all the time, the onion, which is the white, the pepper, which is the green, and the tomato, which is the red. When those things come together in a gazpacho, we normally see those. If you're eating it more traditionally, when you puree it with the bread and the olive oil, it kind of turns almost a tan color. That's the traditional way of eating gazpacho. How do you eat gazpacho? Every day, if you live over in Spain. Go right to the tree, you pick these things right off the tree, right off the vine, put them in the blender. We don't chill overnight. We typically would add a couple ice cubes right to the bottom of the little blender cup. Chill it on in there and you eat it right away. And then do we eat it with a spoon? No, we don't. Actually, typically chilled soups are meant to be sipped. So we have different kinds of little things that you can use here. Any of your favorite little cups, maybe you have a favorite little jar that you could use. These little cups are lovely if you're doing something more decadent like a chilled fruit soup. And this is my great grandma's little glass. This is one of my favorites. Depends on what you're eating. Like I can eat a lot of a potato soup. We all can eat a lot of potatoes here, but a lot of the potato soup, I could have a much larger portion. But if I'm doing a chilled strawberry soup, which I'm gonna show you in a few minutes, I'm gonna keep that to a smaller portion. It's very high in calories, but it's also very rich. So a smaller little shot of that will do just fine. Give me just a couple minutes, we're gonna get these things ready, and we're gonna go ahead and use up our blenders and create some of those fun cooked or chilled soups. Okay, so we're back. We're gonna go ahead and make one of my favorite chilled summer soups, which is a cucumber and mint soup with a little bit of lemon. You can make this soup your own just by switching out some of those ingredients again. If you like a little more lemon, add more lemon or more lemon zest. This is super, super simple. I am gonna use my food processor. If you wanted it a little bit smoother, you could use, again, that Vitamix. If you want a little bit chunkier, you could use a blender, traditional blender, or an immersion blender. You can even hand chop this if you like. So the simple ingredients that we have in here, of course, we're gonna start with our cucumber, but we also have some lemon juice, lemon zest as well, a little bit of yogurt, some ice, or you can use water. I'm gonna eat mine right away because I'm very impatient, so I'm gonna go ahead and just use some ice, some salt, and some pepper. I'm gonna use white pepper. I just don't wanna have those black flecks in my beautiful soup. And of course, this is mint that we have right out there in the courtyard. So let's talk about cucumbers. When you're talking about a cucumber for the spot show or a soup like this where the cucumber really has to shine, you want a good cucumber. So this cucumber that I have is an English cucumber. I can buy this here for the restaurant. You can buy them a little bit more expensive at the grocery. But the cucumbers you have in your garden are probably as good, if not better, than this cucumber. The only difference is if you're probably gonna wanna take some of the seeds out of your cucumber from the garden. They tend to be very seedy, where this one's gonna be a seedless cucumber. You don't have to worry about those seeds getting in the way of the texture of the soup. Also, on the the cucumber in your garden, that skin can be kind of bitter, so you're gonna wanna take some of it off. On the English cucumber, it's not nearly as bitter, so I'm gonna leave some of it on there because I actually, again, I'm using a blender because I want, food processor, because I want a little bit of that color to shine through, and I want a little bit of texture. So this dark green will contrast nicely with the lighter colors that we have in the soup, and you're gonna see a little bit of that, okay? I'm also gonna remember to just keep, I'm gonna take the ends off, which I always do, but I'm also gonna remember to keep just a little bit of this cucumber so that I can use it for garnish, because garnish is always important on any soup. So I'm gonna keep this little bit here that I can garnish with. The rest of this we'll just put in my compost pile. Here we go. Start with about the same size chunks that are going into your food processor. Very simple. We're gonna use one cucumber today. Again, I'm gonna use a little bit of that, leave a little bit of the skin on just because I like the contrast. And I left a little bit, so I've got some garnish left over. Then I'm gonna do a 1/4 cup of my yogurt. If you don't like Greek yogurt, you can use sour cream. Greek yogurt's a great option though, because it's got lots of good protein in it. Makes it nice and smooth. There we go. Of course, now I've got my mint. So mint, unlike some other herbs, you don't wanna use the stalk. Some herbs, actually the stalks like on cilantro, have beautiful flavor. They also have a lot of antioxidants and vitamins in there. So a lot of times we wanna go ahead and use the stalk, but not on mint. This is way too fibrous and it would really not give us a nice feel at all. Mouthfeel would be way off. Here we go. We're just gonna strip these down, put them right on in. There we go. I kind of want like a small handful, okay, in there. And again, garnish is important, so we're gonna make sure that as I tear these apart, I leave a little bit for garnish. Keep that over there so I don't get carried away and tear it all off. I actually think that's probably gonna be just good. I can always go ahead and add a little bit more in later if I'd like to, okay? We have about 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, that is. There we go. Of course, as I said, I'm very impatient, so I'm just gonna add my ice cubes right on in there. A little pinch of salt. Little pinch of white pepper. Thank you very much, there we go. And then we're gonna put in our lemon zest. But I'm gonna pulse it first a couple times before I put the lemon zest in there. Again, I want that color that the lemon zest is gonna give me. I don't wanna use all that, I lose all that. I've already put lemon juice in, so the flavor's there. So when I put the zest in, what I'm looking for is that color. Oh my goodness, I wish you could just smell it. The lemon, the cucumber, the mint, it's fantastic. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and put in a little bit of lemon zest. Again, I'm looking for color there. And actually, I really do like lemon, so I could probably go a little bit stronger on the lemon. You can decide how much you like yourself there. It's just that simple. That's all we need to do. And again, we talked about making sure we had some kind of a little vessel, some kind of a little glass. This doesn't have a very nice spout on here, so I'm gonna do my best to pour this without making a mess on camera here. All right, then we have our garnish, right? So I like a little bit of lemon zest, and I've used my zester. If you don't have one of these little buggers, you need one of these. These are fantastic. Put some of that out there. Again, I'm gonna have that nice color on top. And if you really like goat cheese, a little bit of crumbled goat cheese on top of here is fantastic. All right, here we go. Then I could, if I like, go ahead and add a little bit of that mint or a little bit of cucumber as well. And this is a simple chilled cucumber and mint soup. I'm gonna go ahead and take a little taste. That is good. It's very refreshing. It's a great way to beat the heat. We're gonna make next the chilled strawberry soup. Okay, so we're gonna make one of my favorite soups. We serve it here at the hotel, Lakeside Dining Room. We serve it for tea as well, and that's a chilled strawberry soup. There's not much more that's better than chilled strawberries in the summer. It's a great way to beat the heat. And as I said, it's a little bit, as you can see, it's a little bit high in the calories, so we just serve very small portions of this. You don't need a lot. It's really refreshing. It's intended to be a soup. What makes it a soup is that it's a liquid, right? So any kind of liquid could be a soup, hot or cold. It could be, many people think of this more of like a smoothie, but smoothies are meant to be drank with a straw, and it's something that you drink. This is something that you're gonna sip on. It's definitely a chilled soup, okay? So our simple ingredients that we have in this is we have cream, we have our strawberries, of course. Again, it comes down to those simple ingredients. They've gotta be good because this is all that's in here. Lemon juice, sugar, and then we're also gonna have some lemon zest. So simply all we're gonna do is you're gonna start with a quart of strawberries, get the best ones you can find. Even some that are a little too ripe or perfect for this, you can go for the uglies at the farmer's stand and use them, or something that's been sitting a little bit too long, the kids won't eat anymore. It makes a perfect strawberry soup. So 1 quart cleaned, tops off, goes right into your Vitamix. And why I'm using a Vitamix for this one is I want it to be super smooth. And if you remember, there's seeds on here, right? I'm not peeling them. Somebody asked me recently if I peel the strawberries. Heavens no, I don't even peel strawberries. I use a Vitamix. The Vitamix will actually strip down those seeds, you won't even feel them. So that's why the Vitamix is so crucial on a recipe like this, because of those seeds, and I wanna get rid of them. So 1 quart of strawberries goes in. I'm gonna use, then also 1 quart of cream, so it's equal strawberries to cream, if you're catching on there. Yes, you could substitute if you wanted. I've asked people, or people have asked if they could use like a yogurt or sour cream or something else. Of course, make it your own. For me, I don't eat this very often, and when I do, it's a small portion. So again, I don't mind using the cream. And of course, I went to a French culinary school, so I'm all about the cream. So I also have I've got a 1/3 cup of lemon juice in here, and then 3/4 of a cup of sugar. Now, the sugar, again, that's one of those things. It depends on how sweet your strawberries are, and also depends on how sweet you want your recipe to be. Make sure you get your Vitamix top on there real good. Make sure the insert's in the middle there too. And as you can see, you're gonna lose all the seeds. It's gonna be super creamy. All right, doesn't take long at all. There you go, top off there. I started out with cold product. I had cold cream, I had cold lemon juice, and I had cold strawberries. So I didn't need the ice. If I would have picked those strawberries out of the patch and put them in here, I probably would have started with a couple ice cubes in there too to chill this down, if I wanted to drink it right away. All right, I've got my, as I said, this is my great grandma's little glass here. I think she'd approve of our strawberry soup here today. You could add a little bit of water to this or a little more lemon juice to thin it down if you like. Again, it's all about the garnish. So I'm gonna use a different kind of lemon zester this time, something that's a little bit more fine. There you go. And again, I'm gonna put a little strawberry on top there too, just to give it some little color. There you go. Again, you can sip this. You could use a spoon if you want, but I'm just gonna sip it. That tastes like summer in a glass right there. So this is chilled strawberry soup. Chilled strawberry soups and different kinds of, chilled strawberry soups, different kinds of chilled soups are a fantastic way to beat the heat in the summer. Give it a try. Try some of your own combinations. There are hundreds, probably thousands, hundreds of thousands of recipes on the internet. Most of them are pretty good. Give them a try. Make them your own. The big thing is just get out there and cook. Enjoy the summer. Go to the farmer's stand. Go to your grocery. Go to your gardens. Pick and get good quality ingredients, and you'll have a wonderful, good quality chilled soup. Thank you so much.